Arizona Wildcats. Some really good things. And then the bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, and the Guaranteed Rate Bowl announced who they're going to have in their game.
Breathe, grasshopper.
Yeah, you're not.
And I got to tell you, I have to be careful.
Okay.
I have spent the last 25, 26, 27 years as a Yellow Jacket raising a lot of money for our community through the Fiesta Bowl. And I've been a real big part of the Fiesta Bowl in a lot of different ways. But I got to tell you, I cannot remember a year where my phone just went off all day yesterday with people blaming me for selecting the Oregon Ducks and the Liberty Flames for the 53rd annual Fiesta Bowl. And I didn't have anything really to come back and say, oh, yeah, it's because of this or because of that. I said, I'm scratching my head too.
Sure.
And it's 11 o'clock game, New Year's Day, ESPN, State Farm Stadium.
Bo Nix says he's going to play for the Ducks.
There you go.
There you go.
We'll see about that.
Okay.
That could change.
Yeah.
We got a month.
That's true.
So, if Bo Nix doesn't play, which it's hard to bet bowl games, first of all, right now, because you don't know who's going to sit out.
There's pretty solid backup behind him, Ty Thompson. Young man had a
he's not Bo Nix.
I get it. I understand. But
I understand he's your guy, and just because Brock went off yesterday.
Yeah, really.
Let it get to your head. We'll get to that later.
No. I'll tell you why Ty is a
This isn't about Ty right now. We're talking about the Fiesta Bowl.
Okay.
And the Ducks and the Flames. I want to hear from you guys. I'm going to ask this question.
Okay.
By this matchup, taking an 8 versus 23, taking a Liberty Flames team, which I believe had the 116th easiest schedule in all college football, 133 teams. Just looking at the Fiesta Bowl, does this make you say, wow, they're a lower tier bowl now?
Well, I was shocked. Oregon, I think, is a great pick, but Liberty, I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, would you say Jimmy was 35-35 at halftime against New Mexico State?
Yes.
I mean, you hope. You always hope for a competitive game, right? You really do, whether Bo Nix plays or not, but you really do. But I'm like, I just felt, me personally, growing up here, day one of the Fiesta Bowl, with Rocky being a part of it for so many years, I don't know. That doesn't have the juice. In my opinion, just doesn't have the juice for me. Growing up in Tempe, Arizona, and being and I'm very prideful, love the Fiesta Bowl, but that one there is like,
it's a head scratcher.
Yeah, I'm like, oh,
and I'm like kind of going down my Rolodex saying, okay, all right, can somebody tell me who picked after us? Who picked after us, and what was that selection? Because I would love to know who it is, and if it's somebody that is east of the Mississippi, there's a mistake here, Bill Hancock, who ultimately is in charge of this, and ESPN. I don't know if it really comes down to the board, but the matchup, to your point, it's not. You're sleeping in.
It's not sexy.
You're sleeping in on New Year's now.
It's not sexy.
It's not. This is not wake up and I want to get there early. I want to see Liberty play Oregon.
And I don't care if they're 13-0 or not. You look at the competition they played. Look at the team overall. Okay, they're 13-0. You give them a little bit of love, but not in the verbal Fiesta Bowl against Oregon. I want to see and I don't mean this in any kind of disrespect for Liberty, but I want to see a worthy competitive opponent. Now, if I got to eat crow or whatever, fine. Liberty upsets Oregon, that'd be a whole nother story. But I think
David and Goliath. This is even close,
Rock,
guys.
You think
Come
of
on.
the verbal Fiesta Bowl. I'm obviously somebody else, maybe in the top 15, top 12 to top 15, taking on Oregon. I mean, I'd love to see maybe an Oregon and a Missouri. That'd have been a hell of a game right there. That'd have been one of those situations. Or, I mean, even Oregon and Ole Miss. To your point, somebody east of Mississippi for Lane
travel,
Kiffin,
economical stuff.
Lane Kiffin to come in, what have you? I think that
they didn't play anybody.
No.
Bowling Green, North Mexico State, Buffalo, Florida International, Sam Houston State, Jacksonville State, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky, Louisville Tech, Old Dominion, UMass, Texas El Paso, and then again, it's just New Mexico State. I'm sorry, guys.
There's no appeal. There's no appeal whatsoever.
I just don't know what Bill Hancock and ESPN are doing.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what has been talked about, and it was discussed on
2 minutes.
ESPN, which pretty much controls the bowls
In the narrative.
and the narrative, and that was Liberty was undefeated, and they were given the designation as the January 6th bowl team instead of SMU, who went to Tulane and won at Tulane and claimed the AAC title because SMU had 2 losses. That's the narrative
Got something.
right there.
Good.
No, this is coming from somebody who didn't live here at the time, right? And Rock, you've been with the Fiesta Bowl for a really long time, so I'm asking this question out of honesty and searching for an answer. How different is this from 2007 when Boise State was put in? Because I pulled up Boise State's schedule when they played Oklahoma, and I guarantee you, if you transport us back to that time and social media was a thing, people would be saying the same thing about that game, and it's considered one of the greatest bowl games ever. And Boise State's got New Mexico State, Fresno State, San Jose State, Utah State on that schedule. They didn't play anybody, and they got put in the Fiesta Bowl, and it is one of the greatest bowl games we've ever had in the history of bowls. So you have to let it play out.
Did they have any out-of-conference games there? In that schedule that year.
Boise State, they played Oregon State and beat them, but they were unranked.
That right there, you know, they don't have. Hey, I agree with you. That is my, when I've been interviewed for the Fiesta Bowl, what's my favorite game? Hands down, it's Boise State OU. No question. But at the time, there wasn't a lot of uproar. I don't know what the spread was going into the game. I mean, this one's 15.5.
I can remember, Rock. The Boise State they were the high-flying Melinda brothers with their offense.
Weren't they undefeated?
Yeah, they were. But the other thing too is they had established themselves over a couple of years.
Yes,
yeah,
they had
set themselves up to where they were a worthy opponent to make that jump to the Fiesta Bowl. And with the Oregon State victory and all the way that they cruised through in their offense, whoever did that choice felt very, very confident. Oklahoma came in, and to that point,
they were a top 5 team.
They were. Adrian Peterson was their running back, and they were all excited. But I think there was a buildup of that. It just didn't happen that like a Liberty all of a sudden they're 13-0. There have been several years of promoting Boise State,
correct,
because of their schedule, because they're non-conference, in order to come to the Fiesta Bowl and gives a competitive Oklahoma team, which they wanted. They tied the game up on a hook and ladder to force it into overtime.
And just so you know, Boise State had more starters returning from the year before than any other team. To Shoe's point, they beat Oregon State, they beat Hawaii, they beat Fresno State. Not that those two are anything,
well,
but
Fresno State was
they were a WAC champion.
Yeah. Pac Hill had some really good teams at Fresno State. So
he did.
I mean, those were good games where they went into, and it was either Fresno or Boise State. And Pat Hill had teams that were always vying for conference championships. And so those are good victories.
I agree with that. And you guys remember this, when Boise State was undefeated and TCU were undefeated, instead of putting them in so-called top-tier bowl games, they put them in the bowl to play against each other because the powers that be were so afraid that they might be the number 1 team in the nation.
Hey, coming up, our Valley Chevy Dealers NFL Sounds of the Weekend next on Rock and Manucci GMV. Just